So, can we welcome MADFUN? So, ladies, do you want to introduce yourselves individually?
Yeah, let's do that. So, my name is Fanny, and I'm a part of the songwriting and production team MADFUN, together with you.
Yes, and I'm Maddie. And we're both from Stockholm, originally.
Yeah. Great. So, how did you start on your musical journey?
I guess we kind of have the same story. Like, we started out because our fathers are really interested in music and both play guitar, so we started playing at home. And then I started a musical gymnasium.
High school.
Yeah, there we have it, Swedish. And then I tried out the artisting for a couple of years. It wasn't really my thing. I'm a bit scared of interviews and stuff, but still I'm here, so that went well. And then I applied for the music school Musikmakarna.
And I kind of have the same story, but I focused a lot on like playing guitar before. So I played guitar at high school, and then I kept doing that a bit, but deep down I wanted to write songs. So I kind of decided to go in that direction after a while. And then also applied to the same school and where we met.
So you mentioned Musikmakarna, and I think for everyone in Sweden, you know what it is. But for those people outside of Sweden, this is an incredible music school. So can you tell us a little bit about your experience there?
It's really cool. So, like, the concept of Musikmakarna is basically that you have sessions together with your classmates, and then the music industry, like people from labels or publishing, management, whatever, they visit the school and you play your music for them and present yourself as a songwriter or producer or whatever and get feedback. So the first year is just session-based, and then the second year you have internships. So we both wanted to become producers, and I was a producer assistant at Pontus Winberg, or with Pontus Winberg, who's a part of Mike Snow, and he did Toxic. And you were a songwriter and producer at 10. They have Sara Larsson, Icona Pop. Yeah. And then the second and third internship we did together. And we just started having sessions outside of the school and everything. And it's so great because you've met almost all people in the industry because they visit the school. So then you just contact them and you start working with them.
Yeah, and also it's really good because the school is like 6 hours north of Stockholm. So you can't really do anything else. You only spend time in the studio and with your amazing classmates who are like so talented. So you learn basically everything from them.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's 30 people in a class. Is that per year? So you hang out with the same 30 people for a couple of years?
Yeah, for like 1 year, and then
you intense, but nice.
Yeah.
So how do you get into Musikmakarna? What's the process?
It's kind of a long process, I guess, because first you apply with like 5 songs that you've written and a personal letter. I think you have to answer like 1 million questions-ish. And then the 40 best are called for an audition up at the school where you write kind of a funny song, like it's just to prove that you can do it. And then they have a personal interview, and then they select 30 people that start the class.
But I mean, the interview was like so, or like the audition is so, it's really mellow. It's like, no, it doesn't have that pressure, that like feeling of you have to succeed now. It's just like the teachers are so kind and they're so like humble. So
it's very casual and like a very family kind of environment up there, which is comforting and nice.
So do you think this is one of the reasons at the moment we have so many strong, young Swedish songwriters and producers in the country?
100%. Like it was so exciting to when we were at what was it called? Musikförläggarnas which is like it's a big award show for like songwriters in Stockholm. And there were like one or two categories where it was the breakthroughs of the year, and like all but one was from the school, and so I think that is like so crazy.
Hit-making school by the sounds of things. Well, it sounds like it's difficult to get in, so they're probably taking the cream of the crop.
Yeah, probably.
And do you think that the education system here generally is very supportive of music from a young age?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a lot of like educations from a young age and places to be able to learn an instrument or songwriting or choir or whatever you like from a very early age, which doesn't cost that much. So I think that helps, and like it creates
a lot
an
of our
interest.
friends. I mean, it feels like everyone started with the Kulturskolan and like just playing the flute or something.
Playing the flute, yeah.
And the dad's guitars.
Yeah, she was the guitarist. I was the flute nerd.
Flute and guitar, I'm looking forward to this release.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Cool. So what do you think you got out of your internships?
That's a good
question.
Next.
Do you want to start?
Yeah. Maybe just kind of figuring out what you like and what you need, kind of, as an environment, and like just trying it out for real, and like trying something where you're so nervous that you feel like you're gonna pass out, and then just getting through it. And even though maybe the song wasn't the best, or maybe you didn't get anything, but you like got through it, like you did it. I mean, because every time, I feel like for me it gets easier every time you do something that makes you really nervous.
Did it give you an insight into the music industry? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, definitely, but also not at all. Like the music industry is really, it's just like a lot of nice people hanging out together, sort of, and I thought it was supposed to be way more structured. But when I was at my internship at Pontus, it was of course a lot of structure, but also just a lot of hanging out with people and like connecting with people and really talking about life stories, which I think is amazing because it's like no other job. You're basically a psychologist in a way, and like just meeting so many new people all the time, which is awesome.
Sounds like a great experience.
Yeah.
It's good that you've seen that side. I think writing rooms are probably a less stressful environment than, as you were saying earlier, artists have to do a lot of interviews and a lot of promotion. So you're probably on the nicer side of the industry anyway.
Yeah, we definitely think so.
So after your amazing musical experience and education, you decided to become MADFUN. So I'm assuming the name is a hybrid of your two first names?
Yeah. It was actually our A&R at Warner who came up with it, because we had tried out some different names and everyone was like, oh, they're so bad. And we were like, okay, but what do you want it to be then? And she just said it and everyone was like, yeah, it's really good. So.
Excellent. So why did you think you would work well together as a group? What were those, like, we have the same vision, or did you have the same approach? Because female producing duos is fairly unheard of.
I think like for me it was that Maddie was the one at the school that I really admired. Like I thought your music and what she did and represented was really amazing. So I was like, I'm just gonna be in the same room as that girl, because that's gonna be great. And hopefully you felt the same. You have to say it now.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, but obviously the same. But also like that we had the same interest. I feel like we, even though we came from different musical backgrounds, we had some stuff in common. But like where we were at that time, we listened to a lot of different stuff. But we always like agreed on what we loved. Yeah. And then we became really good friends, and we just had a lot of fun. And like for me, it was always more fun, like writing with you. And for me that was such a big thing as well. Like you wanna enjoy the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, and especially like in the startup, it's so important that it's fun because it's going to be so rough and heavy at points where you just question everything, you question yourself, your ability and everything, and it's so nice to be able to lean on someone that you just admire and have a lot of fun with, I think. Yeah.
Amazing. And you both decided to go down the producer route. Like, when did you decide? Because how many other girls in your class are producers?
There was a lot of them, like, or
Yeah.
like, yeah, there was kind of, I mean, in our class, we were like the first class, so we're 50-50 girls and boys as well. So I think that helped because, and we were also, we were like really good friends. Like the whole class had such a good, like dynamic and vibe. So we just helped each other. Like, I don't think I would have dared to go after it as much if I didn't have like all the other amazing girls in our class who also liked helped each other. And
Yeah.
but we both wanted to do that. I mean, I wanted, that was like the reason why I wanted to get in, because I wanted to get better at producing. I had only done it in my room and like was such a noob. And then yeah, and you were like the same kind of.
Yeah.
So, why do you think there are so few female producers? When I was looking at the statistics on this, less than 5% of all producers worldwide are female, which I think is a horrifying statistic.
Yeah, it's not the best numbers I've heard. I think it is that it's been a boys' club for so long. Like, honestly, it's been just boys inviting boys and, like, I guess kind of boys being able to try it out as well, because, I don't know, you are just more welcomed in that room. And then I feel also like it's kind of been a very like sexist vibe for a couple of years. Like, I spoke to my friends yesterday and they are in a studio, and one of them, there are two girls and one of them is a producer, and like the screen, you know, where the computer, vad heter skärmsläckare?
When the screen goes black
and it shows pictures. It's pictures of women in bikini, and for me, like, that's so unwelcoming, because obviously you can have another picture of a dog or whatever, but it makes you feel so uncomfortable because you're there for another reason, but then you as a woman is represented in a bikini, which is like, it's not, yeah.
And I feel like the first thing you said about like guys inviting other guys is because the industry is so built on top on that. Like, that's what you do. Is, but like in any other profession, maybe you apply for jobs and it's like you put up a job application somewhere, or like it's different. But in the music industry, it's all about making connections, and when it's like friends working with friends. I mean, you choose people in that way, kind of, and sometimes it's different, but it's mostly like that. So.
And you're finding the rooms easier to go into and less strange for the men in the room? Because often I find that guys will say to me, oh, I've never been in the room with a female producer. I didn't know women produced.
Well, I guess it's always more welcoming to go into a room and know that you're not gonna experience someone saying something offensive to you. It's just that simple. Like, I mean, I can feel very welcome in a room with only guys if they don't say anything like that. But if you're also a guy in a room where there's a rough environment and you're not the one who's getting hit, like if it's a sexist environment, so it might be easier. But I have to say, like, I feel it's getting better, and especially in Sweden, like, it's a lot of women who produce and also a lot of guys who just are really nice and like welcoming and really respectful, and that's so much easier to work with that.
Yeah, I feel like it's mostly, we only get that comment nowadays when we go somewhere else to write. Like, yeah, I mean, I feel like in Stockholm, and like obviously for us, we know tons of amazing female producers, so for us it's nothing strange, and I feel like for the guys in our generation, it's nothing strange as well. Like,
but do you think that also has something to do with the fact that you're in Sweden, and as a society we're fairly progressive in that men and women should have more equal roles?
Yeah,
Because you
think it's
mentioned
like that.
when you are outside of Sweden, that you don't always necessarily have that ease of working with others.
Yeah, I mean, we were at a camp outside of Sweden, and it was like it was like us and maybe 2 other girls, and then there was all boys at this camp, and it was such a difference. I mean, it was crazy, and I like hadn't like the way I felt some of the times on that camp. I hadn't felt like that in so many years, because I mean, we have come a long way, like here in Sweden. So, yeah.
But I mean, there are assholes everywhere, so you meet nice people everywhere as well.
Yeah,
like,
of course, of course.
It's ups and downs.
But I mean, of course, I think it's really helped that, like, in general, you learn about like the ways of sexism, and you learn that it's okay to like push through, and like, yeah, I have earned this space, and it's okay for me to fail, and it's okay for me to do well, and like, you just, yeah. I mean, for me, I've learned that because I take more space, I think, than I did when I was younger.
I mean, we were chatting earlier, and I described you guys as groundbreakers to a certain extent because there are so few women in the producing space. Do you feel that there is a lot more additional pressure to get things right from the people around you?
I used to feel that a lot more. Like, I still experience that because it's a lot of pressure. Like, when you walk into a room and someone says, I have never met a female producer, and I've never been close to writing with one, and I know that I'm their first impression. And that sucks in a way because I just want them to get a good impression, but sometimes you have like a bad day and it just doesn't work out. But I just hope that people know that, like, you know, everyone has good and bad days, and it's just a human. So it's like nothing that's gonna affect me later on. But also, I've just started being way nicer to myself. Like, it's okay to have a bad day and not deliver, but it's also okay to have a fucking kick-ass day and have a Billboard hit. And that's just gonna be like either.
So how do you think overall, because I mean, Sweden are ahead of the game here, as you could say, even by the number of female producers in your class. How do you think we're going to, as a group of women, change the perception globally about how awesome female producers are?
I think it's time for men to like change their perception, and like look at how your days look. Like, is there a woman in the room when you're writing? And if you ask yourself that every day for a week and the answer is no every day, then just make a change, because women are awesome to write with. So yeah.
Totally agree.
and also like, yeah, just obviously like keep pushing for women to take that like space that you deserve. That's difficult, but yeah.
Awesome. So there's a 10-year-old girl who would love to be a producer. What advice would you give her?
I don't want to sound cheesy, but like, believe in yourself. It sounds so nerdy, but it's really true. Like, I mean, in this industry, and especially when it's so few women, like, find someone that you look up to that represents you. Like,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Like,
yeah, someone that you can relate to, and someone that can give you a image that is equal with what you've experienced. Like, it's really important. But then also to like take space, claim your space. It's really important, and just practice and be out there.
yeah, just
and
take the time to sit and like get GarageBand or whatever, and just
YouTube tutorials. I love it.
Yes, and also like if you find someone that you look up to, and just try to reach out to them as well, because it's not that difficult. Like, you think that people who are like really talented, maybe like I mean, there are some female producers who are like really crushing it, like releasing songs with Rihanna, Maroon 5 and whatever, and just try to contact them on Facebook, and maybe you'll get like that really inspiring message.
Excellent. And for younger boys, what would you be telling them? Because you're very strong female presence, and girls now have you as role models, whereas maybe you didn't have as many female produced role models. But what would you kind of tell younger guys? Like, how would they interact differently with, or are there differences between female producers and male producers?
I would say to just
I would say to treat everyone the same. Like,
yeah, like treat everyone the same, and it sounds cliche as well, but honestly, just try that. And also, if you experience someone saying something offensive, just say something like, you know what, I don't agree, like that's not cool to say. It's so easy because it helps so much if you check the room that you're a part of to help. If it's like an all-male room, just make sure that it's the same language and the same vibe as it would have been if a woman was present, which I think is important.
and also like invite women as well. And then if you don't like writing with them, or like, then that's totally fine. But at least just give everyone the same opportunity.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you were talking about people you looked up to. Who were some of the producers and writers that you aspired to be?
Stara. I love her. I can't be on her Instagram. Like, I get so stressed. She did Needed Me for Rihanna, so that's kind of cool. And also What Lovers Do with Maroon 5. I would say her and
Yeah, she's so cool.
Supergirl.
Yeah, Supergirl is also
She's worked with Jay-Z.
Wonder Girl. Someone.
Oh, Wonder Girl, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Shout out, Imon.
And we love Julia Michaels as well. We're obsessed with her.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Awesome. No, three amazing songwriters, and also kind of mostly from North America there as well. Are there any Swedish artists that you think are doing killer things at the moment?
Yeah, I really like Leon and Scott, obviously. Shy Martin, really.
Sarah Larsson is
Sarah
crushing
Larsson.
it, yeah.
Damn, sorry. Yeah.
But there are a lot of amazing
Tove
people
Lo,
now from.
Love.
Yeah, Tove Styrke is also doing so
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Lots and lots and lots to choose from. Right. So I've asked a lot of questions, and we even have a lot of guys up here who I'm going to ask a lot of questions. So I'm going to open the floor up to you guys. And does anyone have any questions? I'm going to come to you.
Hi. What's your strongest production skills and your weakest, and how do you work with your weakest so they can become the strongest?
Excellent question. So I would say that one of our strongest skills is beats. We're really good at beats and really good at chords. I play the piano, and you're a guitarist. So those parts.
Yeah.
But the worst part, I would. Do you have any?
I think we're like, yeah, I think we're getting better and better now at like really finishing, like
Yeah, definitely.
making that finished product but I think that's like, yeah, it's a really difficult thing because you listen to something over and over and over and over. So, but like for me, or I think for us, that's been like the process of just maybe working on getting quicker, so you get a more developed product in the first session, so that you don't really have to struggle like for too long, because then you lose it and you can't really hear it anymore. But yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel also like we've had a very indie like sound before,
Yeah.
and now we're making more and more like pop. Like we're making, yeah, like mostly
And to try
pop,
to
mainly
like
pop.
incorporate our indie sound into the pop sphere.
Yeah.
Thank you. Next up. Come on, boys.
No more
One of you must have a
questions.
question. Go back to you.
Shoot for the stars.
I'm really interested in like sound landscape, how a sound can change the environment that it's played in. So how do you work with like sound landscape? If you make a pop song, you want the sound to be very obviously poppy, but also nutida. How do you say nutida?
Yeah.
Like fresh. How do you work with the sound landscape to, like in terms of mixing and production skills?
I would say like, for me, it's always really important about the song and like the feeling of the song. So when we select the different samples we use or the different synthesizers or whatever, I feel like it really has to reflect the feeling of the song. So say that it's a very sad song or a happy song, like I feel like the instruments in itself has to reflect the same feeling, because otherwise it's just contradictory. And then otherwise, I don't know, it's the classic things, like what is missing in the soundscape? Like, is it too much bass? Is it too much mid? Whatever, like how can we complement that so it's more verification, more verified?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, just like try like 100 different synths, and then you find that one that fills that hole in the mix, or or just kind of, we love to like focus on finding those sound landscapes that makes you feel something as well, and like what you said, that reflect the song as well. So
and to like let yourself be picky about the sounds that you choose, because it's so easy to just like go on Splice and take number one just because you can. But I mean, what's gonna make you stand out as a producer is when you find your own path. So be selective and let it take time. I would say it's really good. I know a lot of my favorite producers they can like search for a kick for 30 minutes. To be patient, like have that skill is really important and something that I admire.
Sorry, hold on a sec. A little follow-on from that. Do you think the fact you guys play instruments helps in that process?
Yeah, I mean, like, as songwriting goes, I think it helps a lot. I mean, for us, at least, like, I feel like me playing guitar has really helped me with everything. Like, and it becomes a passion. So you get to put a piece of you in the music that you make. So
yeah, it helps.
Hi, I'm Hedda. I wonder, how do you create a typical radio sound to your songs? Do you use a lot of compressors, reverb? What do you do? What's your recipe?
My recipe.
just like a sound on instruments, or just like in general, or
Like
overall?
plugs or...
I feel like
Well, we do
No.
the super quick mastering thing with the fab filter and the limiter and stuff.
Yeah, but
obviously not.
only when we like make a bounce for the session, but
Yeah.
we don't master, and we don't like nowadays. We used to like mix some of the stuff that we did, but now I want to send everything to mix, because it just gets so much better. Like,
And also like to send it to a creative mixer. I think it's really cool because they hear it for the first time, so they can do something. They can select the sounds that they think stand out and make them twice as good. But I mean, we have the standard things that we use. It's easy to fall into patterns, but I think that's what we're always trying to like. I had a phase where I just skipped reverb. Like I really tried to skip it because I thought it was really cool when everything was way too close. But then,
yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like like for compressor, we use it on everything. Like everything sounds better with it, I think. And
Yes.
but I think it's with like a reverb and like the landscape of the song. I think it's kind of fun to just decide. You can really play with it. Like if you want one song to just be like totally in the face, then just try to play with like using only short reverbs on everything. But also then you have to use some other techniques to like make everything stand out. And then if you want something really flowy, then you can just do big reverbs on everything. Just like follow one thing and like see where that takes
And
you.
also like to use FX as a way to like keep the landscape more alive. Because I think it's just like expanding reverb or stretching with delays or whatever. It really helps if you want to get like a chorus that's really dry to like just wet it down before.
Yeah, to just play with it along the song, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's the answer. Thanks.
I have the courage now. Do you work independent, or do you work with any labels? I mean, to get artists and such things?
Yeah, we're signed to Warner Chappell.
Okay.
So we signed like 2 months ago.
So we used to be independent though. So we've been traveling or doing that thing before.
Yeah.
And then we got a lot of the contacts from our school, but then we just like via finding people who we like to work with, we also contacted other people and like sent our songs around basically to be like, oh, do you have any artists that you want me to work with, or do you want to have a meeting? And then they hooked us up with sessions. And
because I think that's like one of the biggest like bluffs in the music industry. You don't have to be signed to be able to have like a full schedule. It's just that you have to contact a lot of people. Like when we were indie, we had days where we just did administrative tasks. Like we took every email that we had and sent SoundClouds and was like, can we at least have a coffee, or do you have any artists that you think would fit our soundscape or whatever, to try to be vad heter det? Have your time filled up.
but then of course it's difficult when you don't, because we got a lot of the contacts from our school.
Yep.
And if you don't have that, but just look up like websites, because the emails are there. So I mean a lot of them, I think. Yeah, like publishers, or also some there were some labels at our school.
Managements as well, like basically every contact you have, or if you like meet another songwriter or producer, just reach out. Like I have spent so many hours on Facebook just like contacting people that I know that I think are good, and asking, can we have a session? Like it's really easy if you dare to go
because
out
it's
there.
always I mean
It's
you're
scary.
always I mean it's nervous as well. Like I feel like you were really good at that thing and I wasn't, like before we met at the school, because I was more like staying in my area, and like I always got my contacts via schools, because I went to a music school like in high school, and then I started Musikmakarna. But yeah, I mean you could, if you have the guts like you, and if you work hard,
And
you
you're
can
gonna
find-
be told that people don't like it, or a no. Like we've been delivered so many no's, but it's okay. Like it's always gonna be like that, and just continue pushing, and eventually it's gonna start rolling by itself. But yeah,
My experience is that publishers often want to sign you directly and not, so maybe
work with you.
it's difficult to
Yeah,
to
I
be
see it
indie.
as like having a dating time. Like I mean, you
Yeah,
wouldn't
I don't think you should
marry-
ever sign directly
Immediately,
with the
no.
publisher. Then it's not a good situation. Like
I mean, you should date. You wouldn't marry someone that you've met for the first time. Like, you need to know them for a little bit at least. And, like, I think it's also one of the myths of the music industry that you have to sign and then you can start working. Because you can really start working before, and, like, as long as everyone are on the same terms. Like, say that we've had publishers that we met and we've set up a timeline. Like, okay, so we work with you for 2 months. And then we have to say no or yes, and the same goes for them. Like, do you want to sign us or no? Like after a couple
and
of
that's
months.
like goes for both publishers and management. I don't think you should sign anything off the bat and then just try it out, because if you don't like it, then yeah, and they should want to try it as well. Like that's why I think
It's a
so,
collaboration.
because it's gonna be it has to be a choice from both ends. Yeah.
I think as a manager, it's really important that people realize you don't just sign up front. You've got to take the time to get to know these people, because you're with them for a long time. It's a 24/7 kind of relationship.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
be happy with the people you're working with.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Sorry, your go-to synth to make sounds, is it Serum or is it which synthesizer
I
is
feel
it?
like we jump around a lot.
Yes, but I would say like Serum is one of my personal favorites, but also EXS24 in Logic.
Okay,
EXS24, it's very basic, but the thing you can do with it is that you found your own, like you can sample. So you find a sample that you like and then you create a synth out of it, which I think is really easy in EXS24. I know that you can do it in Native Instruments as well, I think. Contact, sorry. But so we do that a lot.
Yeah, but I feel like we have like periods with different. But Serum is.
Yeah.
We got a lot of good presets for Serum, so
It's the best presets.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Presets, I love them. Reaching out.
Oh, wow. How is the competitiveness in your field? Like, have you ever had to deal with any toxic competitiveness, either between you two or other songwriters/producers?
Yeah.
You were really competitive with me.
I'm very competitive, honestly. Like I'm so competitive, but it's different to be like driven and to be toxic.
I feel like it's mostly that you're competing with yourself, and sounds really
Yes.
cheesy, but I mean you realize kind of quickly in the industry that it's all about just working together, and I feel like especially everyone in like our generation now really it's that vibe, like. So we haven't had. I don't think we've had any like toxic.
We haven't had any trash talking to our face, anyways. But I'm sure there's been some. Like I mean,
of
people
course
talk
people
a lot.
talk, but it's also very like friendly. I would say that if you think that someone is gonna like when you work too long with the production and you know like, oh, my friend Gustav is really he's gonna smash it if he's gonna finish it, then just let like.
Include people.
Yeah, if the product will be better, then just do it. Yeah.
And I think like that's the best way to avoid toxic trash talking or like competitiveness and everything is to just what is best for the song? Like how will the song become the best bounce ever? Is it if I include another songwriter, another vocalist, another producer, whatever, like just dare to include people. You don't have to finish everything yourself. And then just also talk good about people. I think it's really important. Like give energy and you will receive energy.
And also because if someone is doing really well and you work well together, then it's only gonna like help everyone out. Like if you get a hit song and we work really well together, then we're gonna keep working and then get bigger opportunities together. So
you ride on each other's waves.
What kind of like workflow do you have? Do you just sit down and just make a song, or do you like chop up some samples? How do your workflow look like?
We usually start fresh in the room. Like sometimes we, like when we've tried to prepare something before, it very often ends up not being used. So we just like to start in the room start with the song. So we usually get some chords, and it depends. Like we work with, like yesterday we sat down with a girl who makes hip hop. And we've sat down with her before, and she likes to start off with like a beat and like a soundscape. So then we do that. But when we're like, yeah, it depends on who you're working with. But often we like to start with the song, and then when we have like the basics of it, we can start doing the production.
Yeah. So just basically chords or a vibe, something that you can start writing above.
Yeah, some kind of beat.
Yeah, exactly. But it
just really simple, like just something for the creativity.
Yeah, to start flowing. But it's really different. Like, I mean, some people want to write a top line. Then it's easier if it's just a stripped down version. So it's a guitar, maybe a little bit of piano, a kick, like very easy. Then we always start with the song. But sometimes we get a half done production sent to us that we finish. Then we start in that end. Like it's
But
all
sometimes
over
some
the place.
artists like to really get some clear production, so they know what they're like going for. They want to work off of that, so then you do that. I mean, it's really like just asking the other people in the room what they like to do. But we like to start with a song. I mean, we think that is the best way, and then we just like in terms of us two, we just switch in between. Like you can sit for a while, and then I get some ideas, and then we switch, and then it just keeps going like that.
Jumping on and off the chairs.
Any more questions?
When you send stuff to mix, how do you like figure out that person is not going to do something you don't like, or I mean, because sometimes it changes it a lot. I sent to mix sometime, and it's like, no, but I like it this way. Da, da, da.
I think you can give some instructions beforehand. And also there are different types of mixers. Some people do a very classic mix, and some are more creative in that sense. So I feel like it's good to give a little bit of a hands up, like, okay, so I want you to experiment with this. You do you, and that's going to be great for me. Or if you want it to sound what it did before, just say that. But also it's a matter of feedbacking. Like, it can go through a few runs, and then you change
I feel like
it.
almost every time you have to give feedback, and then it goes back and forth. But also ask for some stuff that the mixer has done before, so you get a feeling like, is this good for what I'm doing? Because everyone has their own thing that they're good at. So some people are really modern, and some mixers are really kind of classic. They're just gonna make what you've done sound better. And then some people are really gonna get creative with it and do something really different. So yeah, just feedback and try to find, and also finding one that you like for what you do. Yeah.
And being honest is good.
Hi, do you think it's necessary to study music, or do you think you can learn everything by your own?
I am totally up for learning everything on your own. Honestly, it's I think it's such an exciting time in music now, because people who haven't been schooled at all are crushing the charts, which is amazing. So I think you can homeschool yourself very easily nowadays.
But I'm kind of the opposite though, because I feel
Shoot.
because I feel like everything that I have gotten has been through music schools, and the system in Sweden that you even can do it, because I learned guitar at Kulturskolan, and then I went to Kulturama to learn how to play even better guitar, and I met a lot of friends who were also really talented, and it really for me always when I went to a new school, I just noticed right away that my level went up with so much.
I think what helps about going to a school is that you get a context. You get a lot of people that you can bounce ideas off, which is great.
For me, I just learn quicker because I need a context. Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be a school necessary. It can be a group of friends or whatever. So it's more of finding a context where you can thrive and learn from each other.
And it all depends. If you're really good at just staying at home and just really learning from YouTube videos and everything, then that's perfect. But for me it didn't really work, but for you it worked great. So
do you think, I suppose, a YouTube generation of musicians has transformed the way music is being made? Because maybe now you don't need to go to a music school, especially if you're not in somewhere like Sweden with the amazing facilities. So do you learn a lot from YouTube? I mean, you mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, a little bit. I usually when I'm in a room with, when I had my internship at Pontus, he worked in different programs than I did. So then it was a lot of YouTube tutorials for me, understanding Ableton and Pro Tools, since I'm a Logic girl. So that helped, but it's also really nice, if you don't understand a synth, that it's the first time you've worked in it, and you need to find an answer for a really short thing, a small thing, then YouTube it. It works very well.
We YouTube stuff all the time.
Everything.
Or more often we say that, we should YouTube this, and then we don't. But yeah.
Excellent. I've got one last question. Anyone? No? Okay, great. Thank you so much, ladies. That was really inspiring and interesting. And can we have a big round of applause for MADFUN? Thank you.